Hey guys, it's Mythology Spot. I got one more build for Post-Epoch-Karl here. Gonna go into our Arc Magi build, but we're gonna go on the Sicarian real quick. By the way, thank you for the likes, subscribes. We just hit 100K. We have our little silver plaque back there. We have a thing on that on YouTube. But thank you for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. So let's get in the Sicarian and check that out real quick, okay?
Don't be afraid.
There's Stephanie talking to us. So, as normal, we're probably going to go over the weapons, and then we're going to go over the talents. So, not too bad. Love that weapon, love that skull. So, let's go into this real quick. So, let's start off with the Shock Maul. So, this is the MK3, so it's got a really nice heavy attack over the top and a really good shock poke, right? And for lack of a better word, like I said every time, mobility is the dump stat. And then we have damage, finesse, penetration, crowd control all maxed out. And with those perks, we're going to have Unyielding, so boss damage, Reapers, all the really tough big guys, right? And then Carapace, same thing. And the reason why we have Carapace is just because it has a lot of potential to kill Carapace. Plus that shock really helps with it. It applies brittleness and all the good stuff you want. It's really good at killing a lot of different things. And then with that, for the blessings, we have Opportunist, which does stack kind of into our crowd control, the stagger there with melee, rending versus staggered, right? And even then, that's a really easy thing. And then Thrust, because that overhand really comes down on top of their head. And when you stagger them with that, you get a lot more strength, right? So that's our melee, our short range taken care of. Then we're going to go over to the arc rifle real quick. So this one's, everybody loves this weapon. It's a great weapon. I really enjoy it. I don't tend to use it too much, but I really do enjoy the feel of the weapon. So with that, we have damage, arc efficiency, mobility is going to be the dump stat, and reload and ammo all maxed out. And then for the perks, we have Carapace and increased critical strike chance by 5%. And then for the blessings, Cavalcade and Overwhelming Fire. So for every 4 single targets hits, last 2 seconds stacked. So it adds to our strength. Pretty much the damage, the stagger, all that kind of stuff. And then Cavalcade for more essentially crit. And that's going to help for a few of our talents. Now, these talents, they don't stack multiple times, but if you constantly keep a refresh up of it, it really does help. And then for the curios, so these aren't too bad, very easy. These are pretty much standards. We have toughness, 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 and then we have combat ability, combat ability, combat. Same, you can kind of see how they all kind of stack. So stamina regeneration, stamina, stamina, stamina. And then we have the difference, revive speed, little bit of damage resistance on gunners, and then we have some sprint speed especially on that as well. So let's go into the talents real quick. So this guy kind of follows most of the base. I'll kind of get the ones on the bottom, and then we'll go to the ones at the top, just because the ones on the bottom are a little bit easier. And these ones don't tend to change very often depending on what I'm doing. So let's start off here. We're going to go over to the right. Binary Ballistics Protocol, restore 15% elite kills, restore 15% toughness over 3 seconds. Ammo Cell Augury. Gunsmith, just because we like to reload faster, right? And then ammunition restoration pod. Jeez, I can't even talk today. But that is a very good talent to have, especially in the new map. We had the Heretical Raiders that we had no ammo, and you kept seeing these guys running out of ammo. This is a perfect endurance build right here. Even that alone is enough to keep your ammo up sometimes. And then weak spot kills generate 2% capacitate. Great, love that. And then we're adding to that just because, you know, we like to shoot people in the head sometimes. So let's go over here to the left tree. Since we got this little right one out balanced out. So this is another one. Critical hits restores the percent toughness and grant toughness damage reduction. So there's one critical talent already in there. That's great. Then let's go down to last stand relay. So gain 6% critical, increase 10% when at 0 charges. So just base crit chance. So your crit chance is already up there really high. Channel Motive Force, spending 1 standard gets 15 damage. That's just great. We're going to do the Artificer Skull, so you can order to shoot nearby enemies and then complete a data interrogation. It's just easy, right? And Neurospheric Command, so essentially ordering it to the Serval Skull to attack will make it attack faster. Great. So let's go down here into the little branch down here. So this is the one I was talking about. Critical hits generate 5% casted over 4 seconds. That doesn't stack, but that constant influx of crits is going to constantly keep your capacity up, your energy, essentially. So adaptive combat calibration. So you gain melee cleave while above 50% toughness and 30% melee impact when below. Hey, guess that stocks out with a mace. That really helps with that mace. It's a free impact boost. Uncapped arrester, so successful melee attack getting 2% melee attack speed for 3 seconds, stacking 5 times. Great. And then we have this one, full render creed, just because that gives us cleave and rending. Awesome. And let's come up here. Let's kind of go up from this branch, and then we'll go up here. So this one we have Mobian Conductor, so that's damage for 10 seconds on ability use. Great. Precision Combat Augers, so damage for your next attack on successful dodge. You're dodging as much as you can with this build. That's standard pretty much for any build, really. And then we have a Hybrid Combat Covenant, so melee kills increase range damage by 3% for 8 sec stacks. So it's essentially you kill with range or you kill with melee, and you get a boost for either one that's on the opposite side. And then we have Power Overload here. So kills by you and your allies in series in coherency grant 1 stack of Power Overload. Elites and Specialists kill grants 2, max 30. Reaching stacks causes an overload and resets to 0 stacks. So when the overload happens, everybody gets damage and toughness reduction. Hey, there's a little bit of boost there. I would love to pick up some of these other ones. Love it, love it, love it. I just can't. Got other things I want to take in that top tree. So we also have Static Capacitor Drain, so overloading 8 times grants you 15% damage, 16 times grants you toughness damage reduction, and over 24 times increases capacity generation 25%. So just overloading and killing things will eventually get you to point to get a lot of capacity. And then Power Drive, gaining 5 stacks for each charge spent. Perfect. So let's go up the top. This is really where we get in the kind of arc level. So getting a lot of the arc talents, a lot of the electricity talents to go off as well. So let's do Weakness Analysis Doctrine. Damage on 8 seconds when hitting electrocuted, soul blaze, burning, bleeding, or toxin affected enemy with a melee or range attack. Great. Gives us extra damage boost. That's amazing. Entrophic Transfer, replenish 12% toughness over 4 seconds on electrocuting enemy. Hey, guess what you're doing all the time? Poke. Zzz, zzz. Very easy to do. Electrocuting an enemy applies 4 stacks of brittleness. That's very easy to do, and brittleness is awesome to a stack. And then you also gain right here redistribution conduit damage versus electrocutions and increased by 5% per charge. Great. And here's where we also go into the volcanic emitter. So unleash an electrical discharge around you. So just giant AoE stunning and dealing damage. When using the emitter at 2 charges or above, ranged enemies within 30 meters have their weapons malfunction for 12 seconds. When using the volcanic emitter at 3 charges or above, for the next 15 seconds, your attacks electrocute enemies and hit for 2 seconds, dealing damage. So your attacks are already doing a lot of things that are built in the tree already. And then with that, I have the restores toughness and plus 1% for each enemy hit by the electrical discharge, just because that really builds your shields up. So these all kind of stack in a lot of the electricity talents. There are a lot of other places I think I could really have some fun with, but there's just not enough points. You can kind of see I'm pretty spread thin here, but I'm keeping kind of the same build we had with Karl pretty much the whole time, is kind of dropping over here to the right, collecting this capacitant, going over here to the left, the flux conduit build up, going over here to grabbing that nuisance command, which is also very good for heretical raiders, right? Because what's better than if you don't have any ammo? You have a free skull that's just going to drain your capacitant for you, right? Coming up here, grabbing a little bit of this power overload, and then going up here and grabbing the volcanic emitter. So let's kind of go out into the arena, and let's go from there. So let's start with just basic swing profile and then gun shooting. Gun shooting is pretty easy, right? Just aim towards heads, especially. See how that just starts eating things alive. We have that switch to crit. You can kind of see that we have, I can even see down there how often that's stacking a crit, and that's just not going away. which is great. When you're shooting this thing, you're constantly getting... Let's see if we'll drain it. Let's drain it with just using our ability. There's that shot going on. Yeah, you can even see it going up, that capacity for your ability right there going up. Just going up constantly. And we're even seeing the stacks, the 16 stacks there. That's crazy. That did not take long. We're almost, yeah, there's 18. Once you just keep this going, you now generate more capacity, and now you're overloaded. But that's awesome. Great things there. And then we've already got a charge back right there. Perfect. So reload's pretty long on this one, right? It just takes a bit, so you just have to be aware of that. That can be a little bit more of an issue. So let's go over the mace. I like the little it's kind of like he actually made this mace in combat, right? Kind of like a MacGyver level. So let's go over the swing profile real quick. Very easy. So we got one there, and then that overhand just keeps going down, right? Very easy to hit people over the head. See how nice that flows? And then the block push is a nice kind of sweep back up to kind of clear people out. See that kind of sweep up. So let's see what this does to a crusher. That is mean. Mean, I tell you. That is a very... And there's the electricity going off. But let's see what happens when we shock them. And then hit them. See, look at that. That's even more damage. There's that burn was putting in. And hey, guess what? It stuns them completely. It stops them from doing whatever you don't want them to do. Or you can just spam this towards their head and then finish them off with a quick... Yeah, that didn't even take long at all, right? Oh, yeah. Jesus. I love that. But yeah, that's the reason why I really like that. Not only does it open up shields, it just stops people from doing things you don't want them to do, your teammates. And then even stacking that in, going from there. That it just all these electricity talents, brittlers, damage, you get damage reduction, like a ton of talents kind of stacking each other and is generating more and more capacity the more you attack and the more you shoot, right? See, very easy. Very easy to kind of shoot this weapon, kind of aim towards a head reason because you really want those critical deaths on weak spot kills, right? Because that's going to generate capacity for you. And then you really probably want to wait until that charge is all the way up. But let's see what happens when we hit with the skull real quick. You can see that's us activating our skull right there. And it's really good for one thing, and I've noticed this a lot for other people too. It's good at stopping snipers from shooting at you. And it's got almost an infinite range, and it is great. Not to mention it can still fire when you're down as well. See how mean that thing is? That's savage. And I'm just spending basic capacity there. And granted, that can get very spicy very quickly. But you can also use this thing to hack. Great thing to do with there as well. And you can just see how fast this builds up. And even then, sometimes I'll hit this ability at one just to AoE a whole crowd. It's very easy to do, and it helps a ton. You just have to be aware when you're seeing pox bursters, not that we have any in here, that you don't highlight them, because this thing will eat those things alive and blow it up on the team, and that is very rough sometimes. So this is my Arc Magi build. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It just kind of produces electricity at the highest stat you can make it, and it's just a lot of fun. So, like I said, not too complex, not too difficult. You're just pretty much spamming AoE, spamming electricity, and spamming the skull, and then swing that mace around with reckless abandon. So that's pretty much it. But I thought you guys might enjoy one last build for this guy. I don't really have too many more after this. Hopefully they're going to come out with some new classes here soon, eventually. But I'm going to enjoy playing this, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for more Darktide. And then on Thursday, we have more Baldur's Gate with Apothecary Pagan. So it's been great talking to you guys. Stay safe out there, travelers, and it's good to see you. Goodbye, guys. See you later.